you're saving lives by not supporting these companies, because then eventually if one person plus another person plus another person plus, it's like my lines, it can have a big impact. It's just one dot, but one dot after one dot after one dot makes a whole line, can make a sentence, can make an image, can make art, and affect people. So being one vegan, living my life and maybe influencing another person to become a vegan, it's just every day to still continue to make that choice, to still do what you think is good, even if no one's watching.
Amazing! Yay!
Yay! So we're here.
We're here. We made it. We're in the West Village at Snow Tattoo. Oh God, I don't even know where we are. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is so exciting to be here. We met a few months ago at this PETA event where you were doing amazing tattoos for people to speak up about animal testing.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what that event was?
Yes. So that event was me tattooing paw prints on people's ears to create awareness about what actually happens to beagles, and how moving forward, people that get these tattoos, when asked, they can also share a little bit of information about it and, again, spread more awareness.
So we were filming, Cave Light Films, the film company that I work for, we were filming the event, and as soon as I saw you, I was like, this girl, she is the coolest person I think I've ever seen in my life. You're a singer, you're an artist, you're an actress and model as well, and you're a compassionate vegan. And I was like, you know what, I want to hear your story, and I had to have you on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
So thank you for everything that you do. Talk about the first time you picked up that pen to the paper. How did you discover your passion for art?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. I've always loved creating things. Whenever I would do something, it would make my mom really happy. I also felt like I knew things ahead of my time. I thought that I could figure out writing, for example. I think this is also significant in why my expression is, wow, this is like a breakthrough actually. Why my expression of, like, the first time I'm actually talking about it and sharing it with your audience or with an audience, because usually I'm listening to my clients and like hearing their stories. But yeah, when I was a kid, I thought that I could figure out how adults would write cursive, because it just looks like a bunch of scribbles. But when I would observe and see how like they could read it, like, what is that? So I remember one time I wrote a letter to my mom and I just wanted to test out my powers. And I asked her to read it, and she read it. She said, of course I can read it, because my mom, she used to play with me. She was like my best friend. So like that's like really who they just, their personalities kind of like helped me be me. Kind of. She said, yes, of course. Like, she would play with me. She would be like, yes, of course I can read it. And she read it. Of course it said, mommy, dear mommy, I love you so much, love Sarah. Of course it said that. But like, she read it, and as a kid, like, thinking that I could write, like thinking that a bunch of scribbles could actually send a message to somebody, or somebody could feel something from my scribbles, which is kind of what I do now from like my lines. A lot of people say that it has a lot of energy to it. So I feel like maybe the belief that I could actually do it at a young age, like, because I did really with my full heart, like, say that in the scribbles, and she read it. So I think that's like
that is such a beautiful,
crazy story.
Beautiful story. It's almost as if every single day your mom lives through you with this art. From what you described, it feels like part of what you're doing is for her.
Yeah, actually, kind of, I think, because I think so, yes, definitely, because I know that she's always watching. Mm-hmm. Or like, even if maybe some people might not like believe in that idea, like, still, everything that I did made her happy, so I'm just gonna keep doing that, you know.
And that's so beautiful that you have all of these incredible memories with her and of her. I lost my stepfather at the age of 13, and so, you know, losing that parental figure, it changes you. And I think part of it is you can look at it as it's making you stronger, because from that moment on, you had to learn to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
Talk about moving from the U.S. and what happened after your mom passed away.
Yeah, so after my mom passed away, I really felt, Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it earlier, like, yeah. It was very difficult because it was very challenging because I remember, so first my dad passed away first. And he jumped into the Hudson River, and I didn't know until I came back here to America. I thought, because they wouldn't tell me, they told me that, oh, he got into a car accident, oh, he got a heart attack. I guess there was even like in my head a story where like I just put them all together, all the excuses that he had a heart attack while driving, crashed his car and fell into the drowned, because there was also one thing where he drowned, but I didn't know like what it was. So when I found out that he passed, my mom of course had to tell me because he wasn't showing up for Christmas and he wasn't showing up for my birthday. And so I was just like, I guess one day I was just like, where is he? And snapped and just was like, where's daddy? You know? And then I remember her telling me that, he's gone. And then I thought, oh man, my dad was my protector. With my dark hair growing up back in the day where it was more racist, I had to go through I remember being in play places and being attacked because, oh, she has dark hair. What? Yeah. There was also that part of racism that I did experience with my mom, who was, Filipina.
And your dad was American?
Well, yeah, my dad was American. Okay. And he would be he was our protector.
Yeah.
So when I found out that he was gone, I felt like, oh man, now I have to be the protector, because I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm getting choked up, and it's a really intense, very hard story. But this is who you are, right? And thank you so much for sharing this with us. No, of course.
I'm so sorry.
Should we get a tissue?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just don't talk about this because it's, I'm just grateful to be able to be here and be able to be here with you and to be able to be talking about even bigger topics later on. I'm we will be discussing worldwide topics. That's super important. But, I don't really talk about it. So of course, every time I think about it, or I think, brings me back, which is, this is what happens.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, of course. And so, your mom
then my mom had to, so I don't think that helped her healing, because he probably, was depressed that she was sick. And I said, our dad was always present. He was always there. So then when my mom passed away, can you imagine when my dad passed away? I was like, oh my gosh. But at least I had my mom. And then when my mom passed away, I felt very unprotected, exposed, and so vulnerable.
Yeah. No, of course.
And then our aunt took us and brought us to the Philippines. I had a house. I was with my brother. It was living how a child should be. And then she brought us to the Philippines, and it was very difficult growing up with them.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. They were not cool. They were, very abusive, verbally, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it.
And so you used art as an escape.
Yes. So I would just sit quietly drawing, trying not to be in anybody's way or say anything at all, because everything I would probably say would be used against me, or they were very, very, very difficult to grow up with.
And how old were you living there?
10 until I was 15, and then I ran away because technically I was supposed to wait until I'm 18, but it was just the last straw. My aunt had a glass bottle, and she was hitting me with it. It was just too much already. It was too much already. I've already been my hair was pulled, dragged across the floor, all of that growing up with and for things that I didn't do, as a kid. I remember, so I'm so sorry if anybody from my family sees this, sorry, but
This
wish
is
you
what
didn't do
happened.
it. Wish you didn't do it.
Yeah, wish you didn't do that.
But like maybe if another person or another child or another like person is seeing this, if whichever side you're on, the doer or the like, I don't want to say like victim, but like just person, whichever part you're on, like first it's gonna be okay, you just stay strong, and maybe somebody might be nicer to somebody. You know, whoever they're not being nice to might be nice to somebody.
Were you close with your brother?
Yeah, growing up I was close with my brother because of what happened, so that kind of bonded us. Yeah, so I had to leave him first because I ran away. First I stayed with my other aunt, but then that was also not a good situation, and then I had to stay with my boyfriend, and it was really okay in the beginning, but I guess our age difference wasn't a match because I was still growing. I was still becoming a person. I technically was kind of like, you know, seeing it from this perspective, I really was a child at that time. I didn't feel like it because I had to grow up fast.
Right.
But like, just
you were a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up made him probably feel insecure, and like there's no excuse at all to hurt another person, and unfortunately he did physically hurt me, so I had to leave. That was also a very difficult process. Maybe also if somebody out there is in an abusive relationship, it's so hard because after that you're okay, and then you hope that it's not going to happen again, and it does happen again, and then next time it might get worse, you know. And that's how like accidents happen.
Right.
You know, like first of all, it shouldn't happen, but
No.
then like just it's a cycle, so you have to really be strong if you want to break out. Like, you know, don't allow anyone to hurt you, and if they do, then you shouldn't be with them. That's all. It's so simple, but it's hard. But I think that like, wow, there's so many topics we're talking about right now.
No, I think that this is such an integral part of your story, and I think that this is going to be really inspirational to maybe viewers that are going through something similar. You know,
That's true. Yeah.
I think you can really help people with this story. So
thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. So you're putting yourself through school. Yeah. You're freelancing as an artist.
Yeah. So that's where I was doing like album covers for bands and working with labels and advertising agencies so that I could like buy paint. And then at one point I also was modeling for hair. So like I had really like unique hair looks at the time where I would just cover my hair with a jacket because it's a conservative school.
This is in the Philippines?
This is in the Philippines, yeah. I went to college in the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah. I took a fine arts, majoring in advertising. And I was putting myself through school with freelance work. And yeah, that's kind of like what happened. I ran away, so...
That's so incredible that you were able to put yourself in school, work, and you're still so young.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember being in school, being spaced out like in the morning because of what was actually, I was in survival mode like all the time. Yeah. And then plus I had to get good grades and like finish college because like I wanted to prove to myself that like nobody could say anything about me. Like I did all of this. Yeah. Like even my family, I ran away from them. So this is what I'm capable of without like negativity. But then also I've still had to go through more challenges unexpectedly, you know, leading to where we are, I guess.
Totally. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about your move to the US and also the start of the connection between what you were eating and also your values? So it sounds to me like you're from even just meeting you even a few months ago, I can see what a big heart you have and how sensitive you are and empathetic you are towards other people. And maybe there is a connection between some of the traumas that you've had to deal with and your ability to relate to others that are suffering, whether they're humans or whether they're animals. So I guess talk about after college, those next steps and where your identity started to form as not only an artist, but also as an activist of some sort?
So the reason why I would draw all the time when I was going through all the difficult situations, I would remember how my mom would be so happy when I would draw. So I would take myself back to that place. So I would just draw, and maybe through that expression, knowing that like I'm able to make these things that are super, I mean, it's an expression. So some of them were different things, you know, like some of them were flowers, some of them were girls, some of them were like creatures, just different things that I could create. Just always expressing myself, and then having a band. I met Paolo. Paolo's my partner in everything, like everything. My best friend,
Maybe we could get a little cameo. Do you want to come and say hello? Come.
Oh yeah.
Just because you're so wonderful. Aw. Okay, so you meet Paolo, and this is somebody that's finally in your life that is treating you with the respect and kindness that you deserve.
It was a while, because it took a while, because of course I was a traumatized person. Oh, I found out that I was traumatized when my classmate came up to me and tried to high five me, and I docked. Oh my gosh. I just was so shocked at my reaction. Like, that's not normal. Like, why would I, if I see a hand like that, you know?
Right.
That's what I was like. That was it. That was like, it's so funny to think that that was one of the more significant ones than me actually being physically bruised up.
My God.
Just like thinking
I'm so
that
sorry.
it was deeper than just like, that's when I realized it's deeper than just my wounds. Whoa. Yeah. No. So yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so going back, because Paolo was very patient, because you couldn't you couldn't like do that. I would be like all the time.
Of course.
And I know that like that kind of like was like, what's up with this person? She's so like closed or so like cold.
No, it's a normal reaction for somebody that's gone through the traumas that you've gone through. How could you not? You know?
Yeah, but like that's why also like in connection to the animals, when I see like a video of like a dog that's like like under the tire barking, and like, and then like after 3 days they're cool, they're fun, they're happy, they're like, oh my gosh, they're them. That's how I feel.
You see yourself in that situation.
Yeah, where then like once you're patient with someone and you love them, they can heal. Return to their original state. I was gonna say, but like heal is shorter, but like return to the original state, which is how I feel like I can express myself.
That is such a good point. Where you see some of these dogs or cats that were abused, and then after a while, with time,
they're happy again. Yes, the power of kindness, the power of love. It's like an abused creature is not irreversible. Like, I've probably been through so much. Like, I mean, I know there's so many more people suffering too, but you know, and their strength also inspires me. And like, even mentally, verbally, like the things that my aunt would say about my art, or like, it was also very manipulative as well. Like, she would on the surface say, oh, but I encouraged your art because I paid for this and paid for that, like when you're in, like, but that's because you want to show people on paper. That's like so like it's so obvious. It's not even like, if you would actually, maybe if we go reverse back to the time, and Jamie, you would knock on the door and be like, did you hear screaming last night? To the neighbors, and they'd probably say yes, because that would be me.
Oh my God.
Trying to like
get it free from that.
Like, isn't anyone going to call 911 here in the Philippines? Isn't there like a freaking 911 here? But like there wasn't, unfortunately. But
you should have never had to go through that. You should have never, nobody should ever have to go through that. And the fact that you were able to come free of that and save yourself from that. I mean, it's devastating. There's no words for it, really. I mean, it should never happen. It shouldn't happen to people. It shouldn't happen to animals.
It shouldn't happen to anyone.
No, it's like, keep your hands to yourself. So when you see some of these horrific videos of what happens to the animals, talk about what's going through your mind.
Oh yeah, I just feel so bad for them. What goes through my mind is, I wish that I could just like open all, like, just run in and open all the cages and just set all the animals free. And in the beginning, when I see that these animals are suffering, and then I go through that whole train of thought where I just want to open all the cages again and like let them all go free and then figure out where they're going to go. And then knowing that there are actual humans that are actually doing good, it makes my heart okay again, because it like breaks your heart but like makes it whole again. And then just trying to help and trying to create awareness, that's like the main thing that we can do, I guess, at this point. And being patient with people that aren't there yet, because it doesn't help when people that you're trying to convince feel like they're being the bad guys, but they're not the bad guys. Whoever's watching this that's not yet vegan, you're not the bad guys because you don't know yet. Because once you know, like, there's no not knowing it. You know it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not right. There's no question about it. There's no debate. There's no debate. So I guess being patient with people that don't know yet.
Totally. And I think trying to see them as allies versus enemies.
Yes.
These are people that can change, have the ability to change, and be fighters and defenders for animals. But it's not only, I think people see the vegan movement as animal focused, but it also really is focused around human rights too.
Yeah.
And when you look at the people that are working inside of these slaughterhouses, oftentimes immigrants, people that have no other option. They suffer from really horrific circumstances, and they have substance abuse problems oftentimes. I mean, imagine killing 12 hours a day, working long hours.
Yeah, this is not
psychological
this
abuse.
Is so wild. It's so wild. This is so wild, guys. Like, what the? It's so wild. It's just so wild. Yeah.
How did you wake up from this? How did you go vegan?
Okay, so then I became vegan when I moved here in America again. I moved back in 2014. We had just played at South. So from the Philippines, me and Paolo have a band, and we were invited in 2014 to play for South by Southwest. Ooh. So that was a fun thing to be able to play our first show here again. And like, me coming back to America for the first time. Like, I remember, like, just at the airport being like, oh my gosh, this is like my land, you know, like, whoa. So then we moved back here. We moved back here in 2014, and then I guess what happened to me, I would consider like my body was adjusting to everything, because I felt bloated. I felt like my face broke out. I was getting rashes. Like, all these things were happening to me physically. I guess kind of psychologically as well, because coming back again, you know, like, and adjusting to the culture shock, and figuring out where things are, like directions and everything. I don't know, just everything. But primarily what I was consuming is where I felt there was something not right. So I like to drink a lot of coffee. I like to have milk. I used to like eat cereal in the morning, the milk before in 2000, when I first moved here. That kind of like just made me do some research about health. And then in 2016, that's like when I just was like, there's something up with this whole meat stuff, you know? So then I did more research, and then I realized, like, we're not supposed to, like, our bodies aren't really meant to be processing it, because you don't feel well after. And when you consume food, that becomes you, and you're supposed, like, it's just common sense, like how everything kind of works, how like plants work from the sun, you know, just basic. We don't have to be like scientists to like figure it out. I just felt it. The last thing I actually cut out was milk, which was really weird, because I just, you know, it's so much information.
Are you talking about health information or what happens to the animals?
Yeah, health first. So that's what's very interesting about it was started with the health. Like, I was just intuitive with my body. Like, I didn't really consume animal products in the Philippines because I was just couldn't afford it as well. But it's really interesting how I heard it as an excuse where like living in a country like that's like the basic food. But then I was on a budget putting myself through college, and I would order from a fast food restaurant the side vegetables for like less than like whatever cents. Just
wow.
That's how I would eat. Like I was just eating vegetables.
There's a misconception that it's more expensive.
So I don't know, but then also it's so abundant. Like it's in everything where it doesn't even need to be, but it's just in everything. I just really wasn't very passionate about eating meat. I was just on survival mode. So for me I was eating like Skyflakes. Wow. Skyflakes is a cracker in the Philippines, and I found out it's vegan. So I was, oh my gosh, I've been vegan like before, like even
before you even knew.
Like, or at least kind of getting there, but like there's no milk in it. And it's really creamy. So, and it's crackers. Cool. Yeah. Like,
can we get any here or no?
Yeah, on Amazon.
Amazing. I'll be ordering those.
Yeah. Or at a Filipino store maybe. Or an Asian store maybe.
Cool.
Anyway, so because I was on a budget. Can you imagine? I was just eating crackers and vegetables. So, but then milk though. But then also, I was very much drinking almond milk in the Philippines. So, you know, it kind of just happened without me being aware of it, that I was actually a vegan. Because I also remember a lot of people asking me, are you vegan? And just me be saying no, but like, I don't really eat animals though.
Mm-hmm. So the milk products, you think when you came to the U.S.
were
it was making
more
you break
like,
out?
Yeah, it was just like the dairy stuff and like the sugar. There's also like a lot of sugar in a lot of things that I didn't know about before, but just there's like a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So being me in the Philippines, where I was just like mostly eating plants, and like coming here having all these other things added on, just I reacted differently. So my body just knew, I guess, in the beginning.
And
so
it's really good to look into what ingredients are in your
Yeah.
food. I mean, at least when I went vegan, I started having to read labels.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy
Yeah.
when you look at the back of any sort of carton, any sort of package. All of the animal products are in bold at the bottom of the ingredient list. And you start to realize, you're like, oh my God, there's a million ingredients in this.
Yeah.
Why am I eating
Yeah.
this? This
Yeah.
cannot be good for my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes
like,
the simpler the better.
yeah, very much. Like the very basic. I bet if I asked anybody how you feel after eating it, all these meat, like how do you feel tonight? How do you feel in how many days? You're still processing what you ate like how many days ago. It's like there's like like you can smell it. You can like it's just like a whole thing. It's like.
Did you get a lot of pushback from those around you? Like, what was Paolo thinking at the time? And
oh no, Paolo, we were like figuring it out. Like he also was. I was showing him, and like I said, once you see it, you just know. Once you see it, once you feel it, you know. Once you know that something is good for you and something is not good for you. I used to drink a lot of alcohol. That also used to be a coping mechanism for me. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, a lot. I remember running into somebody also at a music festival that was from the Philippines, and he was talking to my friend, and my friend was telling him, oh no, they don't drink. He was like, what? No, like nobody can beat Sarah and Paolo in drinking. Like I'm up, like I'm gonna be giving everybody drinks. I want everybody to have fun. But because I was also probably, you know, that was just how I was dealing with coping before. And I stopped drinking also.
That's amazing.
Same time that I'm starting to become vegan, because like drinking doesn't really make me feel well. Like it's just how does it make you feel? And then just basic, I want to have energy, you know. What does it mean when, for example, I meet you at a gig and I'm intoxicated and we're having a good time and then I don't remember you the next day? You know, that's like not cool. But I want to feel the full experience now, because before I wanted to not feel maybe.
So when was the last time you had a drink?
A long time. I'm not like, okay, 2015 is when we officially stopped.
That's so cool. That's a goal of mine for sure.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of alcoholism in my family, and the same as what you're saying. It's like it doesn't serve me. It doesn't feel good. And when you look at it from like a social justice lens, it's almost like this is an industry similar to big ag and big meat that exploits people. Yeah. That nothing really good happens.
It's
out
actually
of it.
really bad for you. Like
bad for you.
It's bad for you. I saw an ad. It was just like an informational ad even. It wasn't even like, don't drink alcohol. It was just like, this is what happens. Alcohol outside your body and where it's used, you know, for cleaning, for cars, for automobiles, and alcohol inside your body and like all the negative effects that it does. Like it's not supposed to be so inside your body. Like our body is so amazing that it heals very amazingly if you let it alone, or if you take care of it, that even emotionally, like traumatically, you know, you're gonna heal. It's gonna heal eventually. It'll always return to like its state, you know, its original state. But since, you know, you're intoxicating yourself a little bit, and then you're recovering from it, and then it's just like that perfect balance where you're like not at your fullest, but you're functioning. You're okay. You're actually functioning well, but just there's something else, you know,
missing.
Yeah.
And I love how you said that your body returns to the natural state, and you see this over and over again where you have diabetics and people with heart disease that stop eating animal products, that cut it out, and then suddenly their heart disease starts to reverse.
Yeah, it's gone.
Reverse itself in a matter of just 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I my dad is a perfect example of somebody that was pre-diabetic, was on high blood pressure medication, indigestion medicine, and he went 90% plant-based, cut out drinking milk, thank God. Like there's no milk in the house whatsoever.
That's awesome.
And now he's off of everything,
right?
Everything.
Isn't that amazing? Your dad healed himself, right? People are actually healing themselves. And if you try it for yourself, you can heal yourself. All the information is out there. You can dig deeper and see for yourself. It's facts. I feel so bad that vegans have such a bad rep, especially before, like, even the word, like, I remember, like, people asking me, are you vegan, like, back in the day? And I'm like, no, I'm not a vegan. But actually, I don't really eat. Yeah, but I was. But I wouldn't say it. But,
I did the same thing. First 6 months of being vegan, I don't think anybody knew. And now I don't shut up about it. It's like I walk into a room and I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm vegan. I'm not going to tell anyone I'm vegan. And then in the first conversation I have, I'm like, hey, my name's Jamie Vegan Kurtzer. I know right away. It's like you can't avoid it. I mean, I have like stop eating animals written on I have vegan behind my ear. And I definitely want to talk to you about like tattoos, because I definitely want to get a tattoo from you because your work is amazing. So talk about Snow Tattoo. Okay. What you're doing here, how you started it. I mean, you are a world-renowned tattoo artist.
So growing up in the Philippines, where it's primarily dominated with the male industry. Also, there's like it's just, you know, a different culture. But as a artist, my situation was at the time, I was freelancing. My art has already been exposed, like in the band scene, and like Paolo saw my art in a music store, like in a record store, on a poster. It was my illustration merged with like the photo of a band that, like, I did everything myself, like complete album package design, everything. And it won a bunch of awards too. So it was just like, the joke in the Philippines kind of was like, if you have Sarah do your album cover art, because it was like a whole thing with like the package design. I could play around, you know, I could like tell them that I wanted to, like, I could get creative, you know. Anyway, it was already kind of like known to those that are into the art and music scene. So one time I'm like still figuring out what I'm going to do with my life. Like, I remember me and my best friend, we would make up like jokes, like make up titles of jobs, like fake positions. Somebody told me that they tried to get my art tattooed on them, and the artist couldn't do it and just was like, this is not a tattoo.
Because it was so intricate.
It was so intricate and detailed, because my thesis was fine lines and cross-hatching techniques. I was always fascinated how this actually kind of all ties together. This is so beautiful. This podcast, thank you so much for having me on your podcast and talking about these things that I don't usually talk about. Bringing up things that I don't usually like. You know, things that are in my past that are just like, you know, closed chapters.
Thank you for sharing it with us. I mean, I feel honored.
Thank you so much for listening. But like how do you make a line? Like, that was like my thesis. A line is just a series of dots, period. And isn't that like the simplest thing? But then with a line, you can make everything. You can write a letter. You can make an artwork. You can like capture things. You can do things with like all that sequence of dots to create a line. So just, that was my whole thing. And my thesis was cross-hatching techniques, book illustration for a children's book. And I wanted it to be in black and white because I wanted to leave like more of the imagination for the children to like color it with their minds, or maybe color it if they wanted to. Not intentionally a coloring book, but more of like a mind coloring book. So that's what my style was, like line art. In 2008, we saved up and I bought my first tattoo machine and I did research on it, and like there was this, like, people wanted my art tattooed on them, so I probably could figure it out. There was no modern female tattoo artist at the time in Manila. Wow. There's Wang Ud, and she's 102, 3.
She's still alive?
Yes, she's still alive, but she does traditional with a thorn. And
she's still tattooing?
Yes, she's still tattooing in the mountains.
Oh my God. Yeah, is it vegan ink?
Maybe, because they probably use, yes. I want to say yes, but you're going to have to verify. But I want to say yes because they would use soot for the ink.
Okay.
I'm not sure now because I haven't really been that, I don't have a tattoo from her cannot tell the experience.
What's in the ink that would not make it vegan? Like, did you have to change your ink when you first started, or?
So what possibly could be in the ink that makes it not vegan is sometimes there might be like bones to like enhance the color. It's actually, oh my gosh, I also figured out that some paints, so also if you're a vegan artist or a painter, if you're a vegan artist or painter, check your paints too, because some colors are enhanced with still animal products, which is really shocking because some blacks to get it super black, which it's not really needed, have bones or maybe.
No. Babe, we are in a time where people are flying rocket ships to the goddamn moon. Yeah. Why are you still using animals to enhance a paint color?
Yeah, pigments. Yeah, it's not necessary. But just check like some like I know some blacks to make them black. I just, and it's all about just push of a button. All of the information is at your fingertips. Is this vegan? Does this have animal products? Check the labels, check the ingredients.
Google it.
Yeah. So, like lanolin, for example.
Wools, sheep's wool.
Yeah. So this is not necessary anymore.
Yeah.
So just double check, because there's like ointments. There's Andy ointments that don't have that in it. There's like, you can just check.
Exactly. So what feeling do you get when you are tattooing and after when you see your art on somebody? Talk about that. So cool.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm not the one making the artwork. It's just like I am just doing it. Isn't that so weird?
No, that actually sounds like a medium, for example, that's like translating from the spirit world to the person, right? Yeah. You're just like, it just comes to you, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. That's so cool.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I do feel like it's not me. I do yoga.
Okay, let's get into your habits and your routines, healthy advice, just to give people.
Well,
super cool.
So what's really like interesting is I always say the word ahimsa, and that's like a real important word for yogis. Ahimsa means non-violence, like do no harm, no harm. So just what does that word mean? And if by consuming animals, are you practicing that?
It sounds like yoga is a spiritual practice for you more than just even physical, too.
Yes, it's very much a spiritual practice for me. And I also study a little bit of Sanskrit, and just like the root words and understanding, like just being vegan is more than just.
It is the first step that you can just take to be like, this is the first form of oppression we are taught from a very young age, that we can kill and eat and torture some animals, right? And that we can love our pets. And it's the first form of oppression that we're taught. And by going vegan, it's like the bare minimum of just leave them off your plate. You don't have to love animals. You can just recognize that they feel pain and that they suffer and that you shouldn't harm them.
Yeah.
It's so simple. That's the bare minimum. And then the next step is to get active and advocate and speak up against that.
Yeah. It's challenging when people are being taught different things, especially you see people that you love consuming this thing because they were told that they need protein from it, but like that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense because
protein comes from plants.
Protein comes from plants, and
Well, what did that animal eat? What did that 1,000-pound animal eat to get as big and strong as they did? Well, let me just break it to you guys. It is plants. That is what they ate. And so instead of you going through their bodies, just go directly to the source. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. And spiritually, you are consuming life. You are not consuming the suffering. The
you
violence.
Can really feel it. Exactly. It's so wild. Like I said, okay, I don't know if I told it to you on camera or off camera, but I feel like there's like a detox people go through first also. Like you don't be vegan, you don't like, it's not just, okay, I'm going to be vegan for a week and see if I like it. You go through it for real, like really do it and like feel it and wait a little bit because like I said, it first was about the health. So like there's the physical aspect of it first, I feel, right? Because that's like the material, that's like the most obvious thing. And then there's like the process of you already have had consumed it and the energy that goes through it. And like energy is real. Like, hello, energy is real.
We are energy.
We're energy. If we go back to like grade 1, guess what, everybody? We're like particles. We're not solid. Matter is a bunch of particles like vibrating closer together, but we're energy. We're all energy and light. And okay, let's pretend we're kids. What absorbs light? Plants. What's our friends? Plants. When we exhale, like who helps us breathe in oxygen? Plants. So it's like kind of like noticing the pattern of that. And then like let's pretend we're kids and you want to have some protein. What is like how would a child survive? Would it run off and like hunt an animal? It would just eat a plant and I'm sure it'll live, you know?
Yep.
I feel like that's how it would be. And it's just basic stuff. And
that's how you know biologically, if you were to place a live bunny rabbit in a crib with a baby, the baby would want to play with the bunny rabbit, not eat them. Yeah. If you put a bunny rabbit in front of a tiger, a lion, or any other carnivore, that bunny would die. Yeah. Okay. We, as human beings,
we're different.
Right. We cry at the sight of blood. We feel pain. We feel bad. We have empathy. We have a moral conscience. And if we don't need to eat these products to survive, we shouldn't eat them. Yeah. But we're just so deeply conditioned. And it's so amazing to meet people like you that have also broke out of this deep conditioning. And now you're living your life in alignment with the values you've always had.
Yeah. And just by nature, like, speaking about, like, you were talking about that, and I remembered a moment in the Philippines where we were on a family trip in the mountains, and it was so beautiful. And, you know, there's this place that, like, there was waterfalls. Like, I'm trying to recall the memory and, like, the experience. Then we went to sleep. And then the next morning, I woke up to the sound of what I thought was a child being, like, it sounded like a baby crying, a human baby. It sounded like a human baby. I woke up and I was like, guys, like,
what is that?
What is happening? Like, what is it? And they were like, oh, they're just offing the pig. It sounds like a child screaming and
killing the pig.
Yeah. I could hear it. It was echoing. You can hear the cry. I was whoa. So you told me about your first experience. That probably was my first experience. Was like, if the design of this creature, like let's say we don't know anything about like anything. There was no programming or anything. We're just basic, you know, back to the basic humans as we are now though, with our intelligence as we are now. And you hear that. And your instincts are just like, this is not right, then I think that's like what's not right, you know? Mm-hmm. Like
that didn't sit right with you.
It's just, how would nature be, you know? How would nature be? I don't think that's natural. And if the design of this creature is the sound of a human baby, all the more that should be like alarming to not do this thing. As you see a snake that has the stripes, you know, oh, this might be poisonous, or a red frog. I'm just like, you know, that's like, it's saying back off, you know? So all these things are like, no, wait, guides that we should actually be listening to, maybe, like.
Right. It's like, where is your empathy, people? You know, like, how do you not feel for this animal that's crying out in pain?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Did you eat pig that night?
I don't remember, maybe not, because
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe not, because there were times where, just like I said, I was never really attracted to meat.
Right.
And then yeah, I have another situation. So that was like when I was very, very young. Also, this was my parents had just passed away also, and I was going through so much. So like all these things in my head just made me question the world more, I guess. Like observing what was happening, and just like I felt like I had to protect myself all the time. So just being more aware, I guess, of that. But then also seeing that, why is it okay though? Why are you guys, I don't understand. And then it's like a programming. So I wasn't really vegan, but then like just, there were those little moments. And then I remember one time, this is me more adult, going to the province, and you know how there's like chickens and stuff around. And I remember we were eating, and I just like was eating a chicken wing. And I just realized that it was like, I just saw it alive. Like I just saw it connected to the wing just had a body and was a chicken. And I just remember dropping it and like walking away.
Wow.
So I remember just like being turned off by things, like just being turned off, you know?
You are so connected to just the world around you. That's amazing that happened, because there's people live wild. In cognitive dissonance. They are holding a chicken wing and they don't even think that it comes from a bird. They just think, oh, let me have, a 12-piece chicken wing from Buffalo Wild Wings, and they don't realize that a bird only has 2 wings. That's 6 birds that you had to kill to just get a meal. Yeah, a gross meal that's bad for you, the planet, and the animal. So anyway, that's amazing that you had those experiences.
Yeah, so like those really stuck with me. Like I also had experience eating it with like so it's not even limited to animals. Like I had the same experience eating we have like in the Asian countries, you also eat sometimes crickets and stuff. Also happened to me with the cricket. Yeah. Like, but I used to love that before when I was a kid, because the flavor, but like it's not, come to think of it, it's not even the flavor, because it's just dressed up.
Yep.
But if that had no dressing, that would not be appealing to your palate.
Totally. You put anything in oil and fry it up, and it's going to like probably taste pretty good. So for those that are looking for some advice and those that are looking for healthier habits, what do you think are some things that have helped you in your vegan journey, and things that just help you mentally and have helped you overcome everything that you've been through? Let's start to kind of wind it down and wrap it up. Okay. With that. I think that's a really important topic.
Yeah. So what has helped me? Supportive people around me, actually, because my brother is also vegan. His wife is also vegan. Paolo, my partner, is also vegan. Wow. So just having that. And then, I had friends in the Philippines that were vegan when I wasn't vegan at the time. And I just remember them, I think it's very important for vegans that are already vegans to hold that hope, because I just know that she was just like holding on to the hope that I would eventually change, like just remembering my friend who's a yogi that was a vegan in the Philippines. Yeah, just take care of the planet, take care of everybody. It's not even about me. Like, me being vegan isn't about me being a vegan. Me being a vegan is about me making the choice every day to choose a better product. Also to be aware and also updated. Like, be updated, guys. It's so 2022 and you're still saying that you need to get your protein from animals. No offense, but that's like old news. Like, that's not even a thing anymore. I don't even like, very rarely do I hear it. And then if I do hear it, I just feel super, super sorry. Like, that you still think that way, but then I can't blame you because you were told something else by somebody that has authority. And like one time I remember just talking to somebody and she was like, well, it's just egg. And I'm like, that's a chicken's baby, for example. Like, that's a chicken's baby. That's a chicken's egg. Like, how would you feel if someone took your baby away from you? That's it. How would you feel? Like, as a person, like, is it right to take I'll take your phone, and that would not be right, And this is something that came out of this is their baby. This is their...
How about in the dairy industry, where baby male calves and baby girls are separated immediately at birth from their mothers?
Feelings, and it's an energy, and it's an energy. They have feelings, they feel it, and you're going to consume it, and then That's why, that's why I think that there's a disconnect that I just thought of today. I think that that's probably where the disconnect is, because of also maybe the anger or the sadness that the animals go through before they meet their end, and then it gets passed on to the humans, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
And then maybe it's just like in denial.
Right.
Like it's too much that just like turn, like there's a switch button that turns off.
Well, it's like as a human, you have to then look inward and be like, I was wrong all of those years. I remember having to look at myself and be like, this is wrong and I need to change. And sometimes change is very difficult. But you bring up a good point too, where it's like, you don't have to be a doctor or even a nutritionist. Some of these people don't even know what the hell they're talking about.
It's like
doctors that are giving people and patients with heart disease and diabetes diets to follow that are heavy in animal products. Like, I'm sorry, but
it's
like,
so weird.
What nutrition are you studying? And
it's so weird. I really don't understand.
They just give people medicine. It's an industry. It's a money-making industry. And that is so when you actually look at the science, the peer-reviewed studies, World Health Organizations have come out and said you can survive off of a plant-based diet at all stages of life, and you can thrive off of it. And we're seeing it over and over again.
I feel much better.
Well, if you're eating goddamn potato chips and Oreos all day, don't blame it on the vegan diet. And maybe if raw works for you, great. But like, also don't expect to eat blueberries all day and feel amazing. Like, you have to eat a variety of foods. And I don't know about you.
And there's so much variety.
Right.
There's more variety of plant-based items that come from the ground, that's super natural, that doesn't harm anybody.
Do you take vitamins or
So I really like to balance my meals, and I really like to have a lot of less processed, because like you said, just because something is a vegan option doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. So if you're going to talk about health, you got to be aware of that too. It's also research that you can do. I feel much better being a vegan. I mean, it's not about me, it's about the planet. It's not just about the planet, it's about the energy and the impact that it makes beyond my life, you know.
Totally.
Like,
you would do it either way if you didn't feel good, you're saying.
Yes, it's beyond me. But the impact that it has had on my life has been extremely beneficial. I feel happier knowing that I can make a difference with the little steps that I take personally, as me living my life as an example, just living my life, and whoever I meet, you know, maybe that influence others just by an example, and the impact that has on more people. Like, for example, when we did the PETA event, it makes me feel better just being a vegan, knowing that it's environmental, it's the animals, it's human to human, humans taking care of humans. Hey, you should be a vegan because, you know, you're not supposed to be eating that. Also, animals, you're saving lives by not supporting these companies, because then eventually if one person plus another person, plus another person, plus, it's like my lions. It can have a big impact. It's just one dot. But one dot after one dot after one dot makes a whole line, can make a sentence, can make an image, can make art, and affect people. So being one vegan, living my life, and maybe influencing another person to become a vegan, you know, it's just every day to still continue to make that choice, to still do what you think is good, even if no one's watching.
I love that.
Because you're watching you.
Yeah.
You're aware of what you're doing and like the choices that you make, you know? You're just aware that, oh, I chose this. Like, nobody can see you when you do these things, like as an individual, like picking up a piece of trash and putting it in the trash bin. It doesn't make a big difference, but it makes a difference about who you are and like setting an example for yourself, even if no one's watching. Yes. And if somebody's watching, then you might even be a good influence to them.
And the little things add up.
Yes.
You pick up that one piece of trash one day, likelihood is you're going to pick up a piece of trash another time, and it accumulates.
Yeah. A saint is a sinner who never quits. A saint is a sinner who never quits. We can all easily be sinners at every given moment. Like, you can be a sinner like right now. You can just say something like not cool. Yeah. And it's easy. But like, to be mindful of how you speak, be mindful of the impact that you make, that like everything is a vibration. We're all energy. Like it's like bigger.
And self-reflect and be able to take accountability for your actions. Yeah. I feel like so often when I'm speaking to people about eating animals, they get very defensive.
Yeah.
And it's like, take accountability for your actions.
Yeah. It's like why do you get defensive about something? Why does it make you feel guilty? Ask yourself that too, maybe. So is it like in your subconscious, and you're choosing not to acknowledge that? But then also, I was also not a vegan before.
Right.
And it's okay that you're not a vegan now, but you can choose to be one like now. Maybe when they get defensive because, like I said, they know deep down inside that it's not right and they don't want to acknowledge it. But then also know that there were other vegans that were non-vegans before that are vegans now. And I am not a perfect person. Like I said, a saint is a sinner that never quits. I used to drink alcohol before. I used to not be a vegan, to put it more simply. And that, I feel like, has the biggest impact on the world. Yeah. You can't end, all the sufferings of all the peoples. Maybe in the future I can help also orphans, there's a lot that we can do, but then every day you can choose a vegan product. That's what you can do. So I might not be able to open all the cages as I want to, but I can choose to have oat milk in my latte, and it's yummy.
It's a simple change, and it's so amazing that everything that you've been through, you have come out to be such a caring, compassionate person, that you care so much of outside of yourself. And it's really inspirational, because a lot of people could just go the complete opposite way, and you let the traumas bring them down and let the traumas take over them, really. And it happens, you see a lot of people with addiction issues because of it. You see a lot of people that are nasty and mean and harmful to the world because they feel revengeful because of what happened to them. But you've done the complete opposite, and you're just doing everything to try and make the world a better place.
Just the little steps. I mean, Jamie, your podcast and things that you do on Instagram, and you going up to people on the streets and you being super active. Thank you for doing that. I mean, I'm just, in my own way, in my little way, which I think that, let that be an example to people that, you can do it in your own little ways. Like, I'm not on the street as Jamie is, chasing people down or trying to convince other members of my family or, people, but the little ways you can. And thank you for creating that awareness to people. And I'm sure meeting you, people, makes them think about what they're doing and their choices.
And the things that you do are reaching so many people. And we need all different styles of activism, all different sorts of people fighting for this cause. I mean, even just through your art and through your tattoos, I'm sure you mentioned to people, about many different social issues. And so we need it all. And what are the next steps for you? What is the future looking like for Snow Tattoo and for you?
More tattooing, more art, more songs. You can check out my bands on wherever all the streaming media sites, iTunes, Amazon, everywhere, Spotify. Yeah.
Awesome. People definitely go check that out. And where can everybody find you? How can they get in touch?
Through snowtattoo.com for booking appointments. Also on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. Yay. Yeah, I try to be more active on social media, but I'm there. I'm here.
Yeah, you do a great job on social media. Everybody should go follow you at Sarah Gaugler.
Thank you so much.
And check out some of the tattoos that you're doing, some of the work. Book a tattoo, guys. If you're looking for a tattoo artist in New York City, you have found your girl. She's sitting right in front of me. Her work is absolutely incredible. And are you able to design something based on what people tell you they're looking for? Or do they pick from a preset?
Yes. Mostly it's custom design.
So cool.
So I would actually, get to know my clients and hear their stories and the meaning behind the tattoos, and then translate that into the artwork that then becomes their tattoos. So it's mostly custom design. Sometimes I do freehand on the body, straight on. Sometimes there's a stencil. It all varies.
Cool. Oh my God. Well, amazing. This has been such an honor speaking with you. Thank you for telling us your story.
Turbo Goth. That's the name of my band. Follow Turbo Goth. Follow Snow Tattoo NYC. Follow me, Sarah Gaugler, and on TikTok, Sarah Gaugler Official, I think. Okay.
Do you have any shows coming up where people can see you live?
Yes, but I have yet to announce them. So keep in touch. I mean, stay tuned.
Follow her pages and you'll be able to. I'll be at the first show if it's here in New York. So
yes.
Yeah. I'll be on the lookout.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for having me.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for listening. And you can follow me at It's Jamie Logan. The podcast is at It's Jamie's Corner. And until next time, bye.
Thank you guys for listening.
Peace out.